Hey all, Hibber here. So we're taking out the Edinburgh today, and this is kind of, one of those videos where we get to be very, very evil to a battleship. And in this case here, it is the Lenin, and it's actually one of the most notorious battleships. I hate running into a Lenin because one, most people who have a Lenin are really good players because it was pretty hard to get Lenin back in the day. But first, let's just look at my build here, because I have an agile build on the ship as usual. Baltimore, Takao, all the perks for rudder and speed, along with fully packed, which I always pick. And on the ship, we have the improved traverse speed, and then we have double rudder, of course. And that's pretty much what makes it an agile cruiser. Then we have the main battery reload, and 3 heals, 3 sonars, and 3 radars. So this battle here is on Trident, which is a perfect agile cruiser map. It's one of the best ones out there. And of course, we are, at the B spawn, no, the C spawn, sorry. So we are going to grab our flank here. And I'm spotted now, so that means I'm just gonna wait for these 2 battleships here to fire at me. And once they've done that, I'm going to pop my radar, because there is a destroyer here, but I want to be able to show broadside to take out that destroyer, and that's why I'm waiting for the battleships to shoot first. And as you can see, I'm using my 30mm bow here to just make sure I don't take damage. Now they fired, I pop my radar, and I can go to town on this destroyer here. I have 30 seconds pretty much before the battleships are reloaded, and that should be enough to 2, maybe 3 salvos. And at the same time, I'm just going into cover here, because the battleships are still out there. And although I've sent the Mars fleeing, we still haven't capped yet. But as you can see, there is a destroyer in the cap, so I'm kind of hoping that perhaps he might actually do the capping for me. And it looks like he is. So this is great work. I mean, this is what destroyers do. I mean, get in there and grab the cap in the cases where it's too dangerous for cruisers to grab the cap, because I can't take the cap here. There's 2, perhaps 3 battleships guarding this cap here, and there's at least 1 destroyer over here, probably 2. And I've just used my radar, so I just got to take it a little bit easy here. I do have my sonar on, because I'm sure that, torpedoes are going to come at me. I also have a pretty good idea where the destroyer is. I just can't see him. So I'm just going to sit here and make sure the other destroyer doesn't come in and, interrupt the capping process here. Once that's done, we can probably start to think about having a look at where this destroyer actually is. And that's another set of torpedoes from a different angle. So there are 2 destroyers here. And the cap is contested now. So that means there's a destroyer in here. So I'm just going to show myself, and hopefully that'll scare the red destroyer out of the cap. And if not, then hopefully my sonar is able to spot him at some point here. But I'm kind of banking on, the scare tactics are enough here. So we'll see what happens. But of course I cannot push out too far in front of these battleships here. I mean, this is good play by the red team here. I mean, the destroyer is kind of forcing me to do something I don't want to do. And of course I cannot stay in that spot there. So he smokes up, and of course there's torpedoes coming. But he had to leave the cap, which is exactly what I was counting on. So now he's at a disadvantage, because it's much harder to grab a cap that has already been taken than to just take, an uncontested cap, or a gray cap, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just gonna wait for my my radar now, and then we can have a bit of fun. But I'm just going to wait until this destroyer is actually in the cap again, because I don't want to use the radar and then, he's like at 8.9 kilometers and he just has to make a little bit of a turn and the radar is wasted. So we'll just wait a little bit here. Also, another thing, I don't know if you noticed, but my destroyer over here actually managed to torp the Mars inside the smoke there. So that's also why I'm holding back on the radar. And actually, in hindsight, it's probably a mistake, because it might actually cost me my destroyer here in a minute. But I'm thinking that the other destroyer must have run away, because I'm unspotted, and I know the Mars is dead. And I'm guessing that the other destroyer, because I'm not really sure where that destroyer actually is. I thought it was somewhere behind the Lenin, And you just have to make these, you know, on-the-fly assumptions. And in a minute, he's going to pop up here because my destroyer is actually going to spot him. So I'm not really ready for that. And in the beginning, I don't even notice that destroyer is actually there, which is obviously my bad. Because I should have been firing that salvo right there, destroyer. But now I see him, but it's too late. He actually whacks the Asashio there, or the Lenin actually whacks him. But the Asashio gets the Summers. I don't have to do anything about that, and really that's the game won right here. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay, this Lenin here is potentially the only ship that can actually ruin this win, because he's in a good spot and he can cover both caps. And if he really wanted to, he could probably, you know, move in to probably the C cap here, take that, and then move to the B cap. Because you can see my battleships, they are, well, I don't know what they're doing. They're somewhere in the last like quarter of the map, and there's no way they're going to contest caps from out there, especially when the red team still has a destroyer. So I'm just using my radar to check. I wonder if the destroyer is hiding somewhere here around the caps, but he's not. So that means, okay, the Lenin is fair game then. He's not defended by a destroyer that'll, you know, come and interrupt my torp run. So I decide, okay, we're going to have to remove this Lenin here. Because if he's removed from the battle, we're certainly going to win. The problem is that I think like this Lenin player is good. So, and my battleship players are probably average-ish. So that's why I worry that he's going to actually, you know, citadel both of my battleships and, you know, throw the game. So that's why I am going to take this guy out. So I'm going to use my 30mm bow here that you have on Edinburgh. So a Lenin cannot overmatch that bow. And as you can see, that guy knows that. So he shoots, but yeah, nothing gets out of that. So this is where you will, you know, thank yourself for having an agile build, because normally Edinburgh goes like 30 knots, 31 knots maybe, I can't remember. But with a full agile build, you can get it up to nearly 37, meaning that you can close a distance like this a lot quicker, like pretty much 20% quicker than you would otherwise. Probably cutting off one salvo that this Lenin here is able to push out. And you can see he's a good player here. He dodges the torpedoes, and at the same time he keeps the guns on me. He's just waiting for me to show broadside. And he's not ramming, and he shoots, but it's too late. So I'm just gonna get my torps at his sides, where they're actually going to arm. Not at the front of the ship, because I'm very close here, a little bit closer than I would like to, but he didn't fire until at the last absolute second. So yeah, a good player. So I don't get him completely, but there's only very, very little health left. And I also have a 30mm stern, so once he's ready to fire, I can just, you know, turn like this, and there's really nothing he can do about it. And that's pretty much the end of the Lenin here. The only problem is Ochakov out there on the horizon. But as soon as the Lenin is done for, I can angle towards the Ochakov. So I was really kind of, you know, expecting my battleships to perhaps have, you know, citadel this Lenin here a long time ago, because he's been broadside for nearly a minute now. But no such luck. So we're gonna have to use the short fuse British AP here into his superstructure to remove him from the map. And that removes the Lenin. And then there's just the Ochakov left, and he's not really a threat. I mean, he's all the way at the back of the map, and there's nothing of value out there. So I just have to go unspotted and then reposition and see if I can chase down the last destroyer, because that's the real problem now. I mean, the Lenin is gone. He was the last real threat, but getting rid of the destroyer as well would seal the deal pretty much. I will leave that Ochakov for the battleships to have fun with, because I don't want to chase that guy to the end of the world. There's no point in that. I mean, look at him. He's all the way in the corner of the map, and he's just giving us the victory. So that's fine. There's no way he can make it back and be of any use by the time, like before the time runs out, really. He's too far away. He might take A, but who cares? We are at nearly 600 points lead, so it doesn't matter at all. So someone is in B, and we don't want that, that's for sure. that's a cap that we've taken, and I hate giving up caps that already belongs to me. So we're going to approach here, and we still have a radar because we have an agile build, and we're spotted. So that gives me a pretty good idea at the angle of the destroyer, somewhere between the B icon and the right island there. So I'm not using my sonar yet because I think I'm gonna have to brawl this destroyer here. So I'm gonna keep it. Instead, I'm going to get as close as I think I possibly can, and then I'm gonna use my radar to, you know, spot him. And there he is. And that's just too bad. So there will be no capping for you, Mr. Akatsuki. And everybody's shooting at him, which is also a rare thing. A very nice thing, but very, very rare to see, especially battleships. So yeah, I mean, that's the third radar here, and the torps are not hitting. So I still have this sonar here left that's running, obviously, but after that I still have one more sonar. So like, there's no way this destroyer here is going to be able to turn the battle. It's simply not going to happen. An Akatsuki versus an Edinburgh, a radar Edinburgh, well, that's just not fair. So I'm going to you know, place myself inside this cap to make sure that even if he pops in again, then he will get spotted, and it should not take more than just one full broadside to remove that pesky Japanese destroyer from the game here. Because he really should be moving in now, because I don't have a radar anymore, or at least it would be on cooldown if I had any more. And it's a good time, but yeah, fine with me. I mean, we're gonna rack up more points the longer he stays out there somewhere. And he knows there's no point taking A. Like, he'll have to take like the blue caps from us, and even then, it's too late now. He'll have to sink the both of us, really. And the Ochakov is still somewhere in the corner of the map, completely out of my mind. Don't have to worry about that guy at all. So I'm kind of hoping that the DD is going to go around the island this way here and try to grab the cap. But I get spotted, and the sonar just picks him up there. And I think, okay, fine, I know where he is then. So I'm going to turn around, and he's still heading into the cap. I don't know why he's doing that, because, I mean, obviously I know where he is, because he was spotted just for a split second there by the sonar. So, I mean, there's going to be no surprising me. So we just shoot some preemptive torps in case, and then I'm spotted now, so he's obviously right in front of me pretty much. And that's the Akatsuki right there, and he shows broadside, which is something you should never do when you're up against an Edinburgh or a Minotaur for that matter. If you just show your bow or your stern, it's really hard to actually damage destroyers when that happens, but no one seems to do that. They always panic and show their broadside, and that's exactly what I want. So the Ochakov is still sitting out there. Yeah, but I mean, that is what Ochakovs do. But when there's not really any ships left to take the real work in the middle of the map, perhaps you should consider moving in. But suits me fine, because there's only 2 minutes left, and we are way ahead on points here. So, I mean, Edinburgh is just such a strong ship, and especially with the radar agile build, it's just, well, it's the best tier 7 cruiser, I think. Even better than, well, any of the others, really. Because it can deal with anything. Like you saw, battleships, you can torp them. You'd only have 3 torpedoes on each side. It would be better to have 4, but I mean, it still means that you're not a ship that can be pushed out of a cap easily. I mean, you can defend yourself from pretty much anything. And the AP shells are just so great against destroyers, and they work really well against cruisers as well, because it's really easy to get citadels. The only thing you can't do in the ship here is farm fire damage. But on the other hand, that's one of the most, well, not useless things you can do, but one of the less helpful things, because fire damage can be repaired. On the other hand, AP damage, if it can be repaired, it's a lot less of a percentage you can repair. So once you, you know, pop all this together with an agile build and the British acceleration, along with the British AP and 3 radars, 3 enormous heels, and 3 sonars, well, you have a cruiser that can do anything, including the 30mm armor. Let's not forget about that either. That's awesome. So my favorite Tier 7 cruiser, definitely. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you out there.